Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, Editor-in-Chief of Liberty Nation, and joining me today is Keelan Ferris, LN correspondent, to talk about Florida's war on social media companies. Hi, Keelan.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Well, Governor Ron DeSantis is rapidly becoming the first America darling in absence of President Trump, and his signing of a new bill cracking down on big tech is being assailed or lauded, depending on who you talk to. Let's start with the basics. What is the essence of the new Florida law?
Yeah, so essentially this new law that DeSantis just signed this week, he wants to punish social media companies for suspending or banning political candidates in his state. It only applies to Florida residents, but starting July 1st, companies such as Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube that take down videos, tweets, or ads that promote a candidate running for a statewide office can receive a fine up to $250,000 a day. It also applies to candidates running for non-statewide positions. But more importantly, it also puts the power back into the American people and gives them the right and opportunity to sue these social media companies for deplatforming them.
Well, as you say, it concerns both political candidates and the average Joe, but I wonder if it has enough zip to really make a difference. I mean, sucking tech companies up for $100,000, and that's what is permitted by John Q. Public, is really a drop in the bucket for some place like Facebook and Twitter. So what's the point here?
Yeah, so a lot of people have already started to call this somewhat of a show bill, but it is and it isn't. Because of Section 230, it kind of limits what this bill can actually do on whether or not it's going to be upheld in the court. Without a doubt, Twitter, Facebook, and these big tech giants are going to come after DeSantis, claiming he's attempting to take away their First Amendment right. And we'll see that battle back and forth. And I think eventually this law is going to get knocked down. But I think DeSantis is really trying to put pressure on the federal government to take a stance against the big tech industry and against these social media giants that pick and choose who gets to say what.
So is the point here really to set the stage for a battle that will ultimately reach the U.S. Supreme Court?
I think so. We've seen a few senators and representatives try to propose bills that just die, that have to do with trying to censor these big tech companies. But I think DeSantis is really trying to get the conversation going. And he's taking a really bold stand in making a state law that's trying to protect his constituents. And I think eventually this will get bumped up pretty high in the courts. But I think he's really trying to push that conversation for action from Washington to take steps to regulate big tech and social media.
Right. So it's really the battle of the First Amendment. Now, I know you're not a lawyer, but right now you get to play one on TV. So ultimately, do you think this measure will stand up under the scrutiny of the U.S. Constitution or not?
I mean, the Democrats say no. A lot of the Democrats think that, as well as their big tech friends, think that this bill is limiting the social media companies' First Amendment right. And DeSantis, on the other hand, says that what the tech companies are doing is limiting the American people's First Amendment right. So as it stands right now, I don't see this being constitutional. I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but from the limited amount I know.
You know, it's interesting. I'm wondering why, well, first of all, let's give our viewers a quickie on Section 230.
Yeah, so essentially Section 230 puts the power in the social media giants and allows them to dictate what can and cannot be on their platform. It gives them the right to censor users and third-party users because it's their platform. And, it makes sense. And both Democrats and Republicans don't like Section 230. The Democrats think that not enough censorship is being done. And the Republicans, on the other hand, think that there's way too much censorship being done and that the censorship is aimed at a certain political party and that it kind of fits the narrative that the social media companies such as Twitter and Facebook are trying to push.
I wonder why we're not looking into breaking up these companies. We did it with Ma Bell. We did it umpteen years ago with Standard Oil. Isn't that just the simplest way to go here?
Yeah, so Section 230 was enacted in 1996, which was so long ago, especially related to what the internet looks like right now. And the amount that these social media companies and tech companies have grown is astronomical. But, we see monopolies essentially all across the country. Amazon, a lot of people want to break up Amazon. But the way social media now has taken over the American people and dictated elections and dictated campaigns is really powerful. And I'm personally someone that thinks that, regulations are needed. But the way that our government is set up and the way that, the Democrats don't want to help out the Republicans and the Republicans don't want to help out the Democrats. And, there's no bipartisanship whatsoever, even if people in Washington like to pretend there is. You can't really get anything done to make such a big stand like breaking up some of these big giant companies.
All righty. Well, thanks so much for this interesting information, and thanks for joining us today, Keelan.
Thanks so much, Lisa.
That's it for this edition of LNTV. Remember to hit Liberty Nation News for original articles, the Uprising and Rabbit Hole podcast, and our signature television program, The Conservative 5, which we like to say is more explosive than C4. Just go to libertynation.com on your browser, hit Rumble, YouTube, or check out our Liberty Nation Roku channel. I'm Lisa K. Donner, Editor-in-Chief. Thanks so much for watching. This program is a production of libertynation.com, conservative news, where truth matters.
Who are we? We are Americans that believe in liberty. We are a project of the nonprofit One Generation Away. We are patriots who apply the founding principles to the issues of today.
And they keep moving the goalposts on us.
We are educators and commentators who love America and the Constitution. Who are we? We are Liberty Nation.